So I love the movie. I thought you did a really good job with it, and I just want to start by asking, kind of about what drew you to this project in general. Like, what made you want to make a movie about Anne Lee and the Quakers, and what was ultimately the driving inspiration behind getting this made?
So I think that my first, well, first I was really excited to discover a story about this forgotten feminist American icon. It was a part of American history I knew very little about. It's a very dark time in American history, and I didn't know that that there was this incredibly brave woman who immigrated from America to Manchester to America with just 8 followers, and then created the largest utopian society in American history. It was what a discovery. And then for me, I think one of the reasons why I really felt this needed to be a film, beyond the scope and the scale of her story, it's felt like a great cinematic piece with crossing oceans, and there's drama, there's action, there's so much, so much to her story. But I also was so excited to discover that the Shakers worship through ecstatic song and dance, and the challenge and the thrill of attempting to make this into my sort of strange kind of modern musical felt irresistible.
Mm, Sure, totally. And I feel you mentioned that you learned so much in this, and I feel like I did too, because I'd heard of the Shakers, but I really didn't know too much at all. So I thought this was like really just interesting, kind of exposed me to a whole world I wasn't aware of. And
Yeah.
kind of bouncing off that, I mean, just in general, did your opinions about like Anne Lee and the Shakers like change at all when you were making this movie? Like, did you see the real life Anne Lee in a different light or way, like once you were done compared to how you kind of viewed her when you started making it?
Well, I felt that my research period was very was I kept waiting for, that moment in stories about religious leaders or political leaders where all of a sudden their priorities shift, and then they start manipulating their surroundings to, continue to hold on to power, or to gain a greater group of followers. And what surprised me was that in Anne Lee's story, that never happens. She is always quite humble. It's never about her. It's never ego driven. She's only always leading from a place of really wanting to just create a safe community where everyone can live as equal. So I think that was what surprised me the most. I think once once I started making the film after we finished the script, and I think that she felt, then you feel like you're creating this fictional character. It separates from the real person. But they had one day when we were shooting in the Hancock Shaker Village, and Amanda was standing in the hallway. It was 5 in the morning, and this snow falling outside, and she was singing this one song, Stone Prison a cappella, in those hallways. And I think we felt, all of us sort of felt this strange, all of a sudden, ghostly connection to the past, standing in those beautiful buildings in that beautiful hallway, hearing these hymns, and all of a sudden feeling a connection to all the pain, the trauma that she endured, and all the beautiful things that she stood for that are still so incredibly important to fight for now.
No, totally. Totally. And you mentioned the music, and that's what I want to ask you about next because first of all, I was blown away by the musical scenes in here. I thought they were so good, and I love the choice of using the hymns and everything. I'm just curious if that was like at what point during the process of making this movie you realized it was going to be a musical like this? Like, was that on always the intention from day one, or did that kind of come later on when you were like working on the script?
No, I knew that it was going to be, there's had to be so much movement and music in the film, because that's how they worship, through ecstatic song and dance. So, and they did leave behind almost 1,000 hymns. So I knew that I had to incorporate the musical tradition as much as I had to incorporate their incredible craftsmanship and the architectural, marvels that they created and the beautiful interior design and their inventions. All of this had to be part of it and take equal place. So I knew that it had to be, but calling it a musical was something that I was hesitant to do for quite a while because I think modern musicals are so difficult. It's so hard. It's tricky, and I couldn't really. This wasn't. I couldn't really bring in jazz hands. It was that sort of. Your mind goes there, and this could definitely not be that. So I think that I resisted the term, but after a while in the process of writing it, I think I just had to accept that it's a full-on musical, and that's what we're writing here. And then it was exciting. It's fun to give yourself a challenge that you have to be a bit scared. If you don't feel scared, then what's the point?
Sure.
So you have to keep on pushing yourself.
Totally. Totally. And again, I was blown away by those scenes, and I have to imagine that they were not the easiest things to film because you have so many just people in the background and so much choreography going on, so many camera movements and everything. So I'm just kind of curious, was there like one of these hymns that was particularly challenged to like film in this way? And is there also like an unsung hero, like someone who was part of the crew who had a big hand in making these musical numbers happen that you can kind of shout out who really like helped bring it to life?
Yes, I mean they were all challenging in different ways. Some because we'd have 200 dancers in a small room with 500 burning candles. So just the fitting all of us and the camera and everyone within the same space was challenging. I think that none of the glue for these challenging dance numbers, were it be the ship when we were filming in the rain and the storm, or in the forest, were two people, Sam Ellison, our operator, who would come to rehearsals and was Will Rexer, my cinematographer's right hand, and he's incredible. And then Nasha Snicks, who's also in the film, she plays the mother who suffers from postpartum depression. She dances through the whole film as well, but she was also our choreographer's assistant. And so these two number two players, Natalie and Sam, I don't think we wouldn't have been able to execute without them. They worked so hard and they just supported Celia, my choreographer, Celia Rowlson-Hall, and Sam Bill so much. So I think really they were so incredible.
Yeah, totally. I love it. And I want to ask about working with Amanda Seyfried too, because she is just so great in this. I mean, was she always who you had in mind for this role when you were first like writing the script and everything? And what did you feel that she could kind of bring to this character? And what did those initial character or initial conversations between the two of you about exploring this character kind of look like?
Yeah, she came on board really early on. When I first wrote the script, I did put it away for a bit because I couldn't really conceive of um, how to make it during COVID.
Mm.
Because we just had so many humans together in small spaces, literally panting and breathing on
Yeah.
each other. It was just I couldn't understand. I didn't understand how, you know, I thought we would just be shut down immediately.
Mhm.
So I had a moment of pause, and then I went and I directed a couple episodes on a show that Amanda was in, and I really just fell in love with her then. I'd known her for years and years. We go way back. We have lots of close friends in common. But I just got to see a different side of her when I got to direct her. Um, and I all of a sudden all the pieces fell into place for me for this character. And she was game and came on board right away. Our first conversations were about just the script and the story, but also I think she could not wrap her head around how we were gonna how these hymns were gonna function in our story and how the music was gonna work. She it wasn't until, but she was game. She would come over and sing, in my bedroom with me and Daniel, and we would just try different, pieces and work on them together. But I think it wasn't until Daniel started doing some more complex harmonies and arrangements that she really fully it clicked for her, the music. So early on, I think she was beyond wrapping herself around the extremely challenging accent,
Mm.
which she worked on also for a year with our wonderful dialect coach and designer Tanner Marshall. But beyond that, she was trying to like get into the music. It took a minute.
Yeah, no, totally. And kind of bouncing off that, like you said, I feel like this is just such a different kind of performance that at least I've seen like give her like the music and everything, but also you have her playing Anne Lee like during her whole stage of life, and there's so much kind of going on, and she nails it. I'm just kind of wondering, was there like a moment when you were like filming this movie and you were just kind of sitting back and watching her performance, and you're like, oh, this is going to work. Like she's perfect, and we got this.
It was the first workshop we did when she was in the costume. And we were doing a workshop that we were shooting on 35, and bits of it is in the film. Um, we were doing a workshop in at the Hancock Shaker Village, and she was it was the first movement piece we were doing. We had rehearsed for a couple of days in advance, and it was all just there. She gave this the piece started with this like wild sort of euphoric scream. And then it went into a movement and dance piece with a larger group of dancers, and I think just complete like the lack of a bit, like she was just so free immediately and so committed, and had this sort of light and joy inside of her at the same time. Yeah, immediately I was like, oh, okay, she definitely she's found a way into this character immediately. Like I don't now we can just work on fine tuning things and going a little bit left and a little bit right. But I felt that the moment we started shooting that first workshop, she had found her way into the character.
Yeah, totally, totally. And kind of keeping going with the casting and everything. I mean, the movie's about Anne Lee, but I also really, really liked the William character in here, played by Lewis Pullman, who I've become such a big fan of. And what he brings, I just thought was so interesting. Like, I couldn't get like clear read of the character at first, but the way you just kind of explore him more and more, like he really just kind of comes to life. So, what's the story of how kind of Lewis Pullman got involved with this, and what did you think he brought to the table when playing this character?
Well, so Cassandra Kalakundis, who's an incredible casting director, nominated for an Academy Award this year, and I've worked with her on. Um, she's my daughter's godmother as well. I've known her for years and years, and she's always stepped in to help us with casting or fully cast our films. So she was the one who actually said, you need to check out Lewis Pullman. And I wasn't for that familiar with his work because I hadn't seen the show that he was in and for Apple, and I had not seen the superhero films because I'm that's yeah I don't I've missed at some point there were so many of them I just kind of I fell off, but
There's a lot.
yeah, yeah. Uh, but so I didn't know his work, and so but then I got to see some of his work, and I thought he was he felt really he was great. He's such a great actor, and we met and we talked and talked about the character, and I thought he had just such a wonderful quality to him that felt correct for William. And then he told me, he's in a band, he's the drummer, he's very musical, which was great for the role as well. He told me he was not a good singer, but which I disagree with. He's a great
Yeah,
singer.
I thought it was
He
great.
sang a little bit for me and sent me a voice note, and it was so beautiful. Daniel Blumberg, our composer, and I we were thrilled. We thought his voice has this great quality to it. Um, so he was a little hesitant because it was such a big challenge in so many ways. But I love that he had done these Marvel, is it Marvel? I don't know. It is these
Yeah.
Marvel, yeah, movies because they're so physical as well. It's a great physical challenge to do these films, and you have to be really technically skilled to do a good job with it. And so I thought, oh, this is great for dance and movement.